What's up, guys? Welcome to QnA, the show where I take your questions from YouTube and Twitter and answer them here in video format. And this week we have a ton of questions, so let's just get started. And we're going to start with CJ Heidman, who says, what are your game day foods? Also, are you relieved not to have to climb all those stadium stairs this year? Man, that upper deck is no joke when you're talking about trying to walk up it. It will take the air out of your body and then some. So yeah, I'm relieved not to have to walk up those stairs anymore. For game day foods, I try to go to a place like Sharks on Lee Road. They have really good seafood there. Or if I'm in the mood for like a wing special, I'll go to Mount Pleasant Barbecue on Kinsman. So that's normally the two places I hit up on game day, or just whenever I feel like celebrating the Browns winning, or whenever I want some good foods. That's where I usually go. So check those two places out if you're in the area. You won't be disappointed. This next question comes from Tay, the creator, who says, "Sup, Quincy, do you think Odell and Jarvis will be at full strength by September 13th? I think they're pretty close to full strength. Odell looks like he's at full strength right now, so I'm not worried about Odell at all, unless something pops up, which fingers crossed, I hope it doesn't. Jarvis seems like he'll be back by then. He seems pretty ready at this point. I don't have any worry about their health. They've actually gotten more practice time than I thought they were going to get, seeing where they were at the beginning of this offseason with their surgery. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised by them, and I think they'll have no complications, hopefully, by the start of the season, which is in just 10 days. Next question comes from Rhett B12 on Twitter, who says, who do you think will man the wide receiver 3 position for most of the year? And what do you expect production-wise from the wide receiver 3? If we're just speaking strictly about wide receiver number 3, the third wide receiver on the depth chart, it's going to be Rashard Higgins. It looks like it's his role. I would expect, 400 to 500 yards on the high end, 300 yards on the mid end, and probably around 2 to 5 touchdowns. I think that's a reasonable amount of production you'll get from your third wide receiver. Next question comes from Ultimate Sports TV. He says, do you still see the Browns starting off hot with this run-heavy scheme? Starting off hot, I have a couple caveats for that, right? They could start off hot, and they could be one of the more dominant run teams in the NFL. I don't think they'll start off hot. I think they'll start off good. I think they'll be a little bit inconsistent. I don't know how easy it is going to be to start off hot when your first two teams are Baltimore and Cincinnati. And I think those two teams have really good defensive lines. Also are on the more 3-4 side of that 3-4-4-3 hybrid. So it's just going to be harder to run the ball against them because they have more people on the defensive line. And also, I don't think this offense is going to be 100% complete. So it's hard for me to commit to saying they're going to be hot. I think they'll be good, though. Hot? I don't know about hot, but they'll be good. Next question comes from Loco Oreo, who says, love the content, keep it coming. With no scrimmages against other teams, how accurate do you think everybody's assessment of the Browns is? It's as accurate as you can get. I think it's more accurate than a lot of other teams are going to be because the Browns have just been more open with their camp. They've allowed people to see more. So there's just more information out on the Browns in their camp and how their guys are looking. So yeah, it's not like Pittsburgh where you can't really tell what's going on inside the walls of Heinz Field. The Browns have been open. I think you're getting as accurate as an assessment from guys like me and everybody else as you can. It's just, you never know until you face other teams. And even with the preseason, you barely know. So it's just going to be interesting. Some teams are going to look really good right now that might be garbage, and some teams that look garbage right now are going to be really good. You just can never tell with the NFL in the offseason. As far as how accurate people's assessments are going to be, I think it's going to be as accurate as any other NFL team right now because the Browns have been so open with their camp and how they've let people see it, which is not a criticism. I think they did the right thing by the fans, and I think they did the right thing overall by doing that. Other teams are so protective over it, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And sure, if the Ravens beat the Browns, there's going to be some idiot that's going to be like, we saw the plays from their live stream. It's going to be annoying when they say that, but that's not how that actually works. Nothing people see now from those angles that they've given up at camp is going to really do the Browns that much damage when it comes to regular season. But, be prepared if the Browns lose that first game for some idiot to say that and people to act like that means something. This question comes from Michael Camagillo, who says, is Ronnie Harrison a good trade for the team? Absolutely. It fills that Grant Delpit-sized hole in this defensive secondary, and it's a good player for a very low price. It's a starting NFL safety for a cheap price when safeties get pretty expensive in the NFL. Carl Joseph's going to be up on his deal in a year. You're still going to have Ronnie Harrison. So that's a good thing to have. That's a good safety piece to have. And hopefully Grant Delpit can get back from injury within a year or so, and you'll have both those young pieces there to anchor the secondary. This next question comes from Beep Beep Out of My Way, who says, do you think Cam Newton will win Comeback Player of the Year? Well, he's a good candidate for it, let me tell you. Like, that's a comeback player of the year I can believe in. Him in that Belichick system, him having a lot to prove, him finally being healthy. I think there's going to be a lot of good that you're going to see out of Cam Newton. Comeback player of the year, I have to see who else emerges as a contender, but I would say Cam Newton's probably the favorite. It's close to a favorite for comeback player of the year as anybody can get because that's just an unpredictable award. But yeah, I think you're on a good thread there. I think Cam Newton's going to be a definite contender for that award, if not the favorite all year. Next question comes from Wyatt Wikoff, who says, hey, Quincy, what are your thoughts on Greedy's injury? Should we be worried even though it's just day-to-day? Yeah, we should be a little bit worried. Now, they're saying it's day-to-day, but he's been out for like a week on that shoulder, so it doesn't seem that day-to-day to me. I think what they're saying is it's going to be out for the rest of camp, and maybe he's going to be able to play against Baltimore. But yeah, we should be a little bit worried just because, one, Greedy Williams not being out there is not good for the first team defense and not good for the first team secondary as far as they need to get that communication together, and him not being out there is going to be a problem when they try to get that done, especially since he's slotted to start once he comes back in there. So all this work that they're getting with Terrence Mitchell as his replacement is not going to mean that much once the season starts. So yeah, the Browns should definitely be worried. It's day to day, but you know, I don't think it's going to be season long, but it might cost them a game or two. Next question comes from Tilted, who says, we have heard 1,000 times over the years that we will run this smash mouth AFC North style offense. Do you think Kevin Stefanski will be the guy who actually does it? Oh my God, yeah, we've heard this from everybody. Mike Patton, even Hugh Jackson, who definitely did not run a smash mouth AFC North style offense, nor did Freddie Kitchens, who also guaranteed it. So yeah, coaches, that's like their go-to line in the press conference. We're going to run the ball. We're going to, because like they know fans get excited about that. That's what every single coach that gets hired says that. But there's only one thing football fans love more than running the ball, which is devaluing running backs once they hit free agency. So I don't understand that relationship between football fans and running backs when they get paid. But yeah, it's definitely something that a lot of coaches have said. Do I think Stefanski's actually going to do it? Yeah, because you know what? Throughout camp, he looks like he's going to do it. He's the only one that's looked like he's going to do it. If we look at Hugh Jackson's camp, didn't look like he was going to do it. Look at Mike Patton's camp. He kind of did it because he had Kyle Shanahan, so I'll give him that credit there. Freddie Kitchens' camp definitely didn't look like he was going to do that. So, yeah, that was an issue last year. I don't think that's going to be an issue this year. I think this offense is going to run the ball a ton. Are they going to be successful? That remains to be seen, but they have all the tools. This next question comes from Giants Nation, who says, what's up, Quincy? Just woke up from my nap, got the day off, but my question is, what do the Eagles do with Carson Wentz? I'm not hating on him because he's the Eagle. I'm a Giants fan, but I still hate him. But he's prone to injury. He got injured in practice, and he's getting to the point to where his injuries are overweighting his talent. What will they do with him? P.S. I'm an Oklahoma fan, so I'd love to see Jalen Hurts out there, but I've gotten to hate him since he's on the Eagles now. You know what? You know who Carson Wentz reminds me a lot of, and it's fitting that you're an Oklahoma fan because he reminds me of a more talented, more athletic, more gifted, and somewhat more accomplished version of Sam Bradford. Because Sam Bradford was always that guy that if he just got the right situation, if he just got the right offensive coordinators, if he just was healthy, he would be so good in so many people's eyes, but he just never was able to consistently play 16 games at any point in his career. He got paid a ton of money, but he was never able to put it together. And I think that's Carson Wentz's fate. There's always going to be that what if with Carson Wentz, right? That you can get this out of him. He's so good. He's so intriguing. But there's always that huge but with him, which is, but he might not be healthy. And I think the Eagles have showed the first sign of being fed up with it by drafting Jalen Hurts. Because even when the Eagles are good and win the Super Bowl, they don't have Carson Wentz with them. You know, Nick Foles carried that run throughout the playoffs. So I get why they're doing that. Like, that makes a lot more sense than Jordan Love being drafted on the Green Bay Packers. So I think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to move on from him. Is Jalen Hurts the guy that's going to be able to do that? I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I don't know if this is the right situation for Jalen Hurts, but, we'll see. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Carson Wentz. I think he's going to be very similar to Sam Bradford in a couple years, where people are always hyping themselves up on his potential, but he can never stay healthy, which is going to be the story of his career, it seems like. This next question comes from Nick M, who says, is Njoku playing at wide receiver 3 spot a option, or should we bring him in for special packages, considering that he's now tight end number 3? Man, I'm telling you, David Njoku is going to have a hard time seeing the field, in my opinion. I really don't see where his snaps are coming from because, again, if he's tight end 3, which he's really not tight end 3, he's just like the 3rd best tight end on the depth chart, because tight end 3 is a blocking tight end position, and you got Farrell Brown on the roster, so I don't imagine that David Njoku is going to be replacing him in blocking situations, which means less playing time for David Njoku, who's already buried behind Harrison Bryant, who's already buried behind Austin Hooper. Maybe you'll have special packages for him. Let me ask you guys a serious question when we talk about these special packages for David Njoku, because yeah, you could put David Njoku out there in some special packages, but like, why? I'm serious about that. Like, why in the world, if you're the Cleveland Browns, with the offense that you have, would you dedicate a special package to what? Your 7th best pass catcher of the football? It would make more sense, and I swear to God, I'm not joking, it would make more sense to have a special package for JoJo Natson than it would for David Njoku, because at least JoJo has some elusiveness and quickness that you don't got from anybody else other than Odell, who you're not going to run on end arounds for obvious reasons. So, like, it would make more sense to have a special package for him. But David Njoku, it makes no sense. What you get out of David Njoku, you can get into red zone from Austin Hooper, you can get it from Harrison Bryant. He's not better in those situations than any of those guys, because those guys can still get up, still big, and can catch. David Njoku's biggest problem is that he can't catch. And also on the off chance that you want to run the ball in the red zone, he can't block. So why would you have this special package out here? When you have to figure out ways to get Kareem Hunt the ball, when you have to figure out ways to get Donovan Peoples-Jones the ball, Rashard Higgins, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, why in the world would you go out of your way in a shortened offseason to produce this special package for maybe your 7th best catcher at the football? It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So I don't think it's happening. I don't see where he's getting these snaps. I don't see where he's going to play. Maybe if Austin Hooper or Harrison Bryant needs a breather in the middle of a game, he'll get out there for a couple plays. But other than that, man, it's going to be slim pickings for playing time for David Njoku, because I just don't see it. He doesn't fit in any of the roles that are going to have playing time available. Again, we can talk about tight end 3 for David Njoku, but he can't block. He ain't no tight end 3. That's Farrell Brown. It's either Farrell Brown or Steven Carlson. Like, it ain't going to be him. So I don't know what you do with that. I really don't know what you do with that with David Njoku. Like, maybe he's just insurance, and that's what his role is going to be. But that's it for David Njoku. I honestly don't know what his future is. But that's all the questions for this week's Q&A. But again, guys, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day and have a good night.